What understand?
I can't understand in
The camera, it automatic, it just picks up sound or movement. Ne?
Okay.
So once we start presenting, once the meeting has seen who's presenting, we're going to switch off the camera. Because it wanders off. If it pick up a movement and whatever, then it wanders off.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah. Problem,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. Mara, you're gonna be using the PC you've just tested for sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's good to go. I think so. Andro?
Yes.
Do you mind having another laptop connecting but on mute just for backup? Remember last week?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just for backup in terms of sharing. Let's not have one laptop that's going to share.
Okay.
That Mr. Killian. Oh, I both. You can ask. Yeah, you can ask the leadership both there to connect and just mute his laptop, and then you will have the presentation in his laptop. So
okay.
I just give him powers, and then if your laptop is giving us problem, he just kicks in instead of us doing what we're doing now in the meeting.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Or whoever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be him.
Yeah.
Can you do that now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is working.
Yeah.
So we use this, but we don't have to keep standing.
All right.
Director, that's one of my, the bakery is not working.
Oh.
Tendency of being.
Oh, okay. I think let's check. Doc, can you just?
My battery is in flat, like, just switch off it. You have a charger.
What
What do you want to present then?
No, what happened last week is that as we were projecting.
NC, who's there? Miss Carol. Colleagues in Cape Town, I can't hear you. What's happening that side?
I'm not sure how many people from Cape Town are online yet. This is Carl Niehaus. I don't know if you can hear me.
No, Honorable Niehaus, good morning. I saw you.
Morning.
Yes. No, I was referring to the colleagues in TCS that are in the board.
Okay. No problem. I saw some pictures or photos of them, but
yes.
I will have my mic muted because I'm actually traveling. So I will not show my picture again. I'll just be participating through audio. But thank you. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good morning. This is Dr. Msoma. Hey. These colleagues in Cape Town. Can you hear me when I'm up from the room? Yeah, your audio is not connected. Where is your IT? Okay, talk. Yeah, join the meeting using your laptop. All of you, as backup, you just mute them. So you can talk from because the fact that Carol has to call someone. Andro, greetings, the team in Pretoria. I don't see you on the videos now. Your videos disappeared. Yeah. Did you manage to get a second laptop that will assist? Miss Mabunda. Am I audible though? Hey, I can't forget. Miss Mabunda. Dr. Porter, can you hear me? Yeah, but where is the second laptop that's going to assist you?
Hi, Sia.
Sure.
The second laptop is in Cape Town. Director Molava will be connecting.
Okay. As long as my plea was that whoever is in the room can just connect into the meeting so that if we have problems with another laptop, I don't know why the colleagues not connecting there.
Yeah, no, we have asked, so they were busy with it.
So that if there's problems, we just switch.
Director Molava.
You see, the colleagues in Cape Town and have an audio problem already. I can't hear them. I don't know if they can hear us. So I even asked them to use their laptops to connect. I spoke to Dr. Musoma to say they must use their laptops because that room has an audio problem already. So I would have preferred your second person to be with you in the room.
Oh, okay.
If there's Dr. Porter, he can connect and you give him the presentations. Babu Ngumalo.
Yeah, but what they've done, the screen is not responding, but the remote is responding. Is that normal? Like if you try to Is it not unmuting?
Okay, here we've got the Zoom where you unmute the Zoom.
So the Zoom we unmute on.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chair. Just wanted to test your audio.
Good morning, Sia.
Yes, no. You are very clear, Chair. I'm still trying to sort out audio of the colleagues in Cape Town. There's serious problems with their connection. So we've been trying to ask them to connect with their laptops as opposed to using a boardroom in Cape Town. They are in Cape Town, the commissioner, I think, and the CFO and other colleagues. The other colleagues are in Pretoria. That boardroom's audio seems to be fine. But now,
The Pretoria one.
yes, the one you're looking at is the Pretoria one. But Ubaba Ngumalo and I think Commissioner and the CFO, they're down in Cape Town. I can see Ubaba Ngumalo has used his laptop to join now. So I think they have a problem with audio then. Okay, there we go. Baba Ngumalo, if you can hear me, can you maybe use your laptop for the Cape Town delegation to make things easy? Can you test your audio?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you very much.
If your laptop is loud and clear for that room, I think the colleagues in Cape Town can use that laptop of yours and maybe have a second or a third laptop just for backup. If yours gives us problem, the only thing you will have to do is to mute the other laptops.
Okay, no, we can do that. The backup will be the one of the CFO. Thanks.
Yeah, he can join and then we'll do that because your boardroom seems to have a problem there. Okay.
Okay. Oh, we are set and good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Asibonge leadership. The minister, good morning, minister, and the deputy minister. Can you also test your audios so that we can check everything is in order before we start? Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and members of the portfolio. I am fine.
Okay, thanks, DM. Minister, if we can.
Good morning, Can you hear me?
Yes, Minister, you are loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm audible. Thank you.
Yes,
Good
please. Thanks.
morning, the others.
I think, yeah, we're good to go for now. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. See, it's on now. Now you close the audio. So. Nice way. Yes.
Recording in progress.
Sia,
Yeah.
do we meet the quorum of members to start?
Just double check, Chair. There's yourself, Honorable Carl, Honorable Engelberg. So Babukas. Yes, Chair. We've got enough members to start. Yes, Chair. We do meet the quorum, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, colleagues. Morning to the Minister, Deputy Minister, and the National Commissioner, and the entire delegation of the department, members of Parliament. Greetings and hope everyone is okay and safe. Captain, weather seems not to be favorable to me. It seems I'm coming down with flu again. We can then start with today's meeting. See, are you able to flag the draft agenda for today? We know today, most of us members, we are going to be debating on the budget vote 22 of Correctional Service. Wish everyone the best of luck, those who will be debating. And let's make meaningful contribution or some submissions to what the department should be able to implement for the next coming financial year. So wish everyone who would be taking the podium in Good Hope Center the best of luck. That is the draft agenda for today's meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder so that we can start with the meeting? The sooner we start, the better we could finish so that we equally, all of us can go back and prepare for the debate too. Members?
I'll move. I'll move.
Thank you, Honorable Engelbrecht. Can I have a seconder?
I second.
Babu Gasa would then second. I had also Honorable Klote. Thank you so much, members. I would move to item 2 on the agenda, which is apologies. We received one apology from Honorable Niehaus. I saw he has joined. Sia, you can elaborate further on the apology and if we have other apologies that we've received.
Morning, Chair. Honorable Niehaus has joined the meeting. He indicated that he might have to leave the meeting a bit early, but he will be participating during the duration that he's still here. And we also received an apology, Chair, from the Minister, who has requested to depart the meeting a bit early because he then needs to prepare for the budget vote this afternoon. Those are the 2 apologies from our side, Chair.
Okay, thank you. The apologies would be noted. However, all of us are debating. So the sooner we start and be able to move, I think majority of us are debating for the budget vote. We all equally need to go and prepare and do last minute touch-ups to our debate notes or speeches. But the apologies are noted. Members, what made us to convene the Portfolio Committee today would be on item 3 of the agenda, briefing by the department on the use of consultancy, and this emanates from the AG's report when it flagged the use of consultancy by the department and also an update on the establishments of bakeries. Then this should be on how far is the department in establishing bakery, seeing that bread is the most used food in correctional facilities. And we should have touched on this in the last week portfolio committee, but the department should be able to take us through their plans on establishing bakeries across all correctional facilities, if the means agrees. But if not, which are those areas they want to target in getting bakeries to be fully functional? Not what we have seen and observed in KZN, where there are establishments of bakeries, but they're not functional. Why they're not functional, we would have been taken through. And we hope, National Commissioner, when your team comes in to take us through the reports, it should be able also to highlight on KZN bakeries that we were told 2 weeks or in 3 weeks they should be operational, if they are operational, and if they are those that are operating, which ones are those? And equally, the department will take us through the cost breakdown on bread supply, on external suppliers versus the internal supply. So I will then hand over. I've seen on the reports that were submitted, Sia, if I'm correct, it's 3 reports that we received from the department.
Yes, Chair.
I would therefore suggest that they take us through all 3 reports. Members will note questions and clarities. After all reports have been presented, we'll then be able to engage as members. Unlike having to do one report and we engage another one, we must be time conscious today because of the debate at 2 o'clock. So therefore, I will invite the minister to be able to lead that part for the presentation. Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Good morning, colleagues, DM, Commissioner, all officials, honourable members. I'm going to save time, so I'm not going to mention all the names. The names are on the platform. We can see who is present or not. Let me say, Honourable Chair, depending how long we're going to be, you yourself said that we must see that we can speed it up. I still have to travel, but I'm going to try to be as long as possible. So I immediately going to start. I will, through you, Honourable Chair, hand over to the National Commissioner. But I just want to say on these presentations, you will now see that, yes, the consultants, the number of bakeries we have, and the plans for future bakeries. But what I want to say is when we look at the procurement processes, after there was some media, can I say, articles referring to the bread tender and some complaints, what I did is I then had a meeting, or meetings actually, with the National Commissioner and other officials, and I looked into the process. So what we are going to do is that we're going to change certain aspects. I can, for instance, say that what happened in the process and the allocation of the contracts was based on a price which is market value. I said that is too high. We have to look at other ways to look at the price. We cannot pay 23 Rand for a loaf of bread where you can get it cheaper, even at places like Checkers. So that process is going to change. It is also in the presentation that we will look at the retail prices. And my policy is that we must look that there is compliance to quality and, of course, deliverance, but what is the best price? So I want to say that, and I will have further meetings, and I will then determine that policy as Minister on the prices, because we must save money. Having said that, Honourable Chair, I thank you, and I hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. DM?
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to yourselves, the Minister, the NC, and all the members present. Chair, I think we must shoot straight to the presentation due to time constraint. We have submitted our report as a department. Will allow NC and the team to lead us. We're fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DM. National Commissioner?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the Minister and the Deputy Minister, and colleagues that are on the platform. Honorable Chairperson, I request that we start with the presentation on consultants, which will be delivered by the Chief Financial Officer, and then we then proceed to the presentation on bakeries. That will be delivered by the Chief Deputy Commissioner responsible for incarceration and corrections, CDC Mulepo, and then we go to the last presentation that will be focusing on the process of determining prices for bread, which is a specific issue as per the outline of the reports we were supposed to present to the portfolio committee. That report will be presented by the Acting Deputy Commissioner for Supply Chain Management, Ms. Mulaba. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, NC. I think you would assist me in your order that you would have indicated for presentation. I had there is Mrs. Mulebo. I'm not sure if the CFO also will come in to present. I don't know who's the last one.
The last one is Ms. Mulaba, Honorable Chairperson.
Okay, thanks, NC. Mrs. Mulebo? You could then start.
Apologies, Honorable Chairperson. The person who starts is the CFO on consultants.
Okay. I think what you should do then, manage who comes and who after, and I'll take over after presentations are done.
Okay, yes, Chair. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the Minister of Correctional Services, the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, National Commissioner, and also honorable members of the Portfolio Committee for the Department of Correctional Services. I'm here to present to the Portfolio Committee to the presentation relating to consultants. I'll start with the second page of the presentation, or second slide of the presentation, which is the presentation layout. So, Chair, I'm using my laptop. I'm not sure. I don't see actually on the any movement from the screen. Okay, no, I can see now it's visible. If we can go to page 2, where I need to be able to go through the layout of the presentation. I'm also mindful of the opening remarks of the chair in terms of the time. I'll try to be quickly, but also not to compromise quality of the presentation. So the layout, I'll quickly go through to the background and the problem, the categories of consultants, the use, the challenges, the expenditure spent in the period of 5 years, and the root causes, and lastly, the reduction strategy that the department will be implementing for non-reliant on consultants. Going to the background check, which is the next page, the next slide, I mean slide number 3, just to indicate in terms of the background that the Department of Correctional Services specifically, I'll indicate actually 2 categories specifically in terms of reliance of consultants, but just also to indicate, to say from the challenges that the department has experienced. It was mainly on governance matters, and then to also to ensure compliance with the prescripts, which moreover it was raised by Auditor General of South Africa. Then the department had to be able to request assistance from consultants, but that's after we went through a process of the business case where we have to check in terms of the skill gap, and also to be able to have dependency on consultants, but it was a project-based approach. Moving to slide number, the next slide, the next slide, Chair, Minister, Deputy Minister, honorable members, it indicates at a high level some of the categories, specifically where the department is been using consultant. And then I will indicate that you've got the other part where is accounting and audit, where moreover is the review of our AFS, just to re-emphasize, to say that the department prepared their own financial statement, but then there is a review that is being performed by internal audit due to the issue of the capacity in that particular space. Then the internal audit will source the services of consultants to review the annual financial statement for the Department of Correctional Services to manage the issue of the misstatement during the audit by AGSA. And also with the issue of the bid reviews to ensure that from before we award bids, then there's a review of those particular bids is also performed by internal audit. And also just to indicate, just to run quickly through some of the pointers I want to share in this particular slide, is that under the audit committee, those are the assurance providers, but the system, specifically which is our BAS system, recognize the expenditure in that particular aspect, which is also inclusive of the risk committee as consultants. So that particular expenditure will always find an expression under the line item on consultant. But to move also to the issue of when we're doing actual about translation and transcripts, it's also falls within the very same line item. Human resource management mostly is consultants to be able to deal with the issue of the incapacity leave, the TRL, as the department did not have actual that particular skills to perform that particular function. And we also have the research and advisory services, where in terms of the research, the dependencies on your CSIR, and also we also deal with actual South African Bureau of Standard, and we also deal with consultants under facilities, where it's engineering when we're dealing in terms of a facilities work. And also lastly, we had a project management, which I'll explain that when we go to the other slides, when we have to deal with the issue of the securing of contracts, as it has been raised by AGSA in the previous 3 financial years for the department to secure contracts. Moving to the next slide, which is slide number 5, Chair, is mainly to indicate in terms of the use of consultants, to indicate in terms of where the actual issues of capacity and resources, where we have a lack of internal capacity, then we have to be able to depend on consultants or to be able to get actual assistance from them. But the second part, which is the clearing of the irregular expenditure, this was just a very, very tedious exercise, which the Department of Correctional Services were struggling from transaction as far as 2008. And then during the engagement with the previous audit committee, then they've suggested that the department need to be able to clear this particular irregular expenditure and project. It must be a project. And then where we had to be able to start looking for the services of the consultants following the procurement processes. And then where we had to be able to deal with the 6.7 billion of irregular expenditure with the investigation, determination, and assessment, and also working with Treasury to be able to remove and also to be able to condone those particular aspects. Then that work, it ended up actually having the reliance of consultants, and then we end up actually reducing 5.8 billion of irregular expenditure, and we left actually 788. As I've indicated in the previous slides, that we had to be able to deal. We also have actually the audit and the risk committee. We paid them actually under that line item. And then the last part, which is the issue of the securing of contracts, which is of course by split. Then the root cause analysis in terms of slide number 6, it was just to indicate where the skill shortage, capacity constraint, and also the issue related to project complexity, which it was one of the challenges, moreover, specifically when we're dealing with engineering consultants. Just to move to slide number 7. Slide number 7 just indicated the challenges that the department experienced, which was the increase in irregular expenditure. Hence, we had to deal with the 6.7 billion with the reliance in terms of consultant, and also the non-compliance to prescripts, and also the non-availability of contract. Just to share with the meeting chair to be able to say, before we can be able to rely on consultants, specifically in terms of the irregular expenditure, we had tried as the department to do it ourselves, and we were not successful. Hence, we had to be able to request that particular stance through the guidance specifically of the audit committee at that time. Just to go to the next slide, Chair, which is slide number 8. The slide, as I've indicated in my opening remarks, if you look in terms of the slide, it indicates the expenditure trends, specifically in terms of the department utilizing of consultants. And I'm only going to use where there is a spike, specifically in terms of the table and the graph. If you look in terms of the 21-22 financial year, you'll see that particular spike in terms of the department depending on consultant. And that was informed by the time when National Treasury issued a request on an instruction in terms of the department must be able to determine or ensure that from that they've got actually an inventory management system. It was not only Department of Correctional Services, the Department of Correctional Services, it was Defense, it was also Health, and it was also Police, so that the expenditure of inventory now start to be accounted as be able to, as a disclosure note, not as an annexure. So we had to be able to prepare ourselves in relation to that, and we had to be able consultants actually travel the whole country trying to do that particular exercise, hence the spike. So it went down in 22-23 financially because that particular contract ended and that work actually was finalized. If you also look in terms of 23-24, 24-25 financially, that particular spike, it was also informed by the project where we had to be able to resolve the irregular expenditure, investigation, and also actually to secure contracts, amongst others. If you look in terms of the decline, you'll also note that from the decline is mainly because of this particular project has been finalized. But what also becomes very important, Chair, which I will deal with that in my next slide, which is a reduction on consultation strategy. Just to be able to indicate that from the department has developed, which is slide number 9, the department has developed a reduction strategy, which in the main is to ensure that from there is less dependency on consultants. But then the strategies covers actually all these particular 4 pillars, which you've got your skills, where we have to be able to indicate. And I want to emphasize a point to be able to say that when we're doing our work or having actual consultants to deal with the investigation of fruitless and wasteful expenditure, there was a transfer of skills where there was a engagement between the Department of Correctional Services staff, including also the consultants, where we had to be able to nominate, regions had to nominate some of the staff that can be able to continue with this particular work. As we know that irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure is a continuous work, and then we cannot continuously depend on consultants. Then we wanted actually that from the, we reduce the big balance of the irregular expenditure, then the department must be able to continue talking to the issue of the resources, and we have to link that with the capacity to ensure that from the, in the main, we capacitate the supply chain management and also the internal control, so that we can ensure that from there we can be able to do that actually on our own. Just to emphasize the point to say that that particular dependency, there was a skills transfer. But of importance, Chair, the issue, the last pillar, which is the alignment, where we indicating in terms of the strategy to be able to say that to ensure that consultant services are only utilized when it's necessary and aligned with the organizational priorities. I just want to list few in terms of the list of consultants that the department actually are utilizing. We've got the South African Bureau of Standards that we will always going to be able to utilize, specifically when we're dealing with the issue of our material, when we procure the material for inmates and also the blankets, where they need to be able to test. So we go through out the tender, and we're always going to have actually South African Bureau of Standards. Our Food and Safety Agency, we're always going to be able to have them in terms of testing the food to ensure that from the whatever we do is in line with the applicable legislations. South African Qualification Authority, we're always going to have that because of we need to be able to ensure that each and every time we test the issues relating to the qualifications when we appoint within the department. The CSIR, we were utilizing in terms of our research. So just to mention the few to be able to say, even if ever we will want to be able to get rid of consultants in totality, but there are list of consultants that we need to be able to have in the department based on the nature of our work. But just to emphasize a point that if you look in terms of the previous slide that I've indicated in terms of the issue that have increased the expenditure, those were the projects that were aligned with whatever projects that we were need to be able to deal with, that were informed by the audit findings. So we had to be able to depend on consultants to be able to clear all those particular challenges, so that from there we can be able to have actually a clear direction towards the clean audit outcome as the department. So let me pause there, Chair. I hope I tried to be as precise as possible. Thanks, Chair.
And see, it's your process. I said I will take over after your team has done with presentation. You know who should follow after.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. CDC Molepo will follow with the presentation on bakeries. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Molepo? Mrs. Molepo.
Morning, Chair. Is it fine? Good morning, Chairperson, and morning to the Honorable Minister, the Deputy Minister, the National Commissioner, and committee members and all officials on the platform. Chair, I will be taking you through the report on the bakeries. Can I have a presentation? The outline of the presentation will be as follows. It will be the purpose, the mandate, then the background. Then we will indicate the bakeries that we have nationally. Then we'll have process mapping in terms of how we produce bread, and also indicate the bakeries that are self-sufficient. And we'll also indicate the new bakeries that we anticipate to establish for the coming financial years. And we will also indicate the national bakery performance and cost savings. We made an example of how we calculate the costs. Then it will be recommendations and action plan. In terms of the purpose, mainly just to share with the portfolio committee the establishment of bakeries in the department and also the prospective projects in support of self-sufficiency and sustainability. Will also indicate the cost breakdown and bread supply by suppliers. We do have the mandate chairperson that is governing us in terms of self-sufficiency and sustainability. We have indicated there the Correctional Services Act, that is section 3, which indicate that the department must, as far as practicable, be self-sufficient and operate according to business principles. And we are also mandated to ensure that each inmate is provided with an adequate diet to promote good health as prescribed in the regulations. In terms of the background, a chairperson, minister and deputy minister and commissioner, we do have 11 bakeries nationally. Those 11 bakeries, they are being managed by correctional officials, and the 11 bakeries are supporting 39 centers nationally. So those bakeries, they do contribute towards the implementation of self-sufficiency and sustainability. They also provide work opportunities to offenders. Offenders, they also acquire skills from bakeries. We also have cost savings in terms of producing bread. And I just need to mention also that both officials and offenders who are working in bakeries, they also attend training. So they do receive training. So in terms of the historical background, the first departmental bakery, it was opened in 1992 at Koshimamburu, and since then, additional bakeries were established across 6 regions. Hence, we have indicated that we have 11 bakeries nationally. For 2024-25 financial year, we have opened a Standard and Pietermaritzburg bakery. Devon Bakery was commissioned on the 23rd of June 2025 for test baking, which will translate into a total of 12 bakeries as soon as it becomes fully operational. So for offenders who are working in the bakery, we do offer them gratuity, which ranges between 2 rands to 9 rands per day. So on this slide, we have just indicated those 11 bakeries to indicate that from Gauteng, we have those 3 centers, Koshimamburu, Baviaanspoort, Boksburg, and Free State and Northern Cape, we have 2, Western Cape, we have 2, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest, we also have 2, Eastern Cape, we have 1 at St. Albans, and KwaZulu-Natal, we have Pietermaritzburg, and Devon, which has just been commissioned in June 2025. On this slide, we are just indicating that on the 11 bakeries that we have, we are indicating in terms of the average bread produced per quarter. So as indicated, from Gauteng, we have Koshimamburu, Baviaanspoort, and Boksburg. And Koshimamburu, the average bread produced per quarter is 116, and it is supplying those centers that have been indicated there under the column on delivery points or correctional centers. So it is supplying Koshimamburu Central, Local, Center, OD, and Attribute, meaning it is offering bread to 4 centers. Then Baviaanspoort, it is producing an average bread of 26,000, and it is supplying Baviaanspoort management area, medium, Correctional Center and Children and the maximum. So I just need to mention that Bavianspoort is not yet self-sufficient due to renovations. So all other bakeries, they are self-sufficient in terms of bread. We have Free State and Northern Cape there, which is also producing 74,710, and at Kudemut and Velopil 147,000. And on the next slide, Chair, I think just to save time, Chairperson, as we have indicated there, the average bread produced per quarter, it is indicated there. I'm not going to go through all the centers that we are delivering, but it is critical just to mention that they do produce, at Brandfley, they do produce 102, and Drakensberg 122, and Element also, we have indicated the average. Then on number 12, that is Devon, as indicated there, that it is the new bakery that has been commissioned in June 2025. We have tested the production of bakery on the 23rd of June at Devon. Empangeni is completed. The only thing that is still outstanding is just machinery, but in terms of construction, it is completed. So if we have machinery for the current financial year, meaning for 25-26, then we will be having those bakeries counted. As I've indicated, all bakeries are self-sufficient except Bavianspoort, which is not yet self-sufficient due to renovations. I just need to mention, Chairperson and Minister, with regards to those centers, that we are also having offender labor. I think I did mention this one, which is also critical on the previous slide, whereby we've indicated the average offender labor per day at bakeries. So on the very same table, there is a column that shows average offender labor per day at bakeries based on capacity, because the bakeries are not the same. So we have offender labor per day, which is included there. So I just need to mention that in total number per day, we do have around 188 offenders who are working at bakeries. But nationally, Chairperson, we have around, for 2024-2025 financial year, we had around 43,026 offender labor, and they are working in different places. For example, we had offender labor in agriculture. In bakeries, we had 730 for the financial year. We also have offenders in workshops, and we also have offenders in other places like as cleaners and other activities that they are doing. So they also get a gratuity. So all in all, in terms of offender labor for 2024-25, we had 43,026 offenders who participated. The next slide. And this slide is just showing the process map in terms of how bread is being produced in our bakeries. We do have a manual that is showing all the officials and offenders as to how to go through in terms of baking bread, so that production of bread will be standardized and the quality of bread will also not be compromised. Hence, we do have the manual in place that they need to follow, because we do produce a per kg loaf of bread is 780 kg, which is in line with the bread that we are procuring externally. So this is just the process map to start with production planning, then preparation of ingredients, weighing of ingredients, up until the packaging of bread that will be going to different centers. On the next slide. On the next slide, Chairperson, we are indicating those new bakeries that we would like to establish. We have identified Nigel, and the status with regards to Nigel Bakery is that it is still in planning, and we are in consultation with DPWI So the project is anticipated to be completed on the 30th of August 2026. So due to budget cost, we are utilizing own resources to ensure that these bakeries are completed. Offender labor will be utilizing all these projects that have been indicated as own resource projects. We have Krugersdorp Bakery, which is also in planning. We are also in consultation with DPWI. With this one, the target date for completion is the 30th of March 2027. This is also registered as own resources project. So when we say it's own resources project, that means that we'll be utilizing our offender labor and also resources internal. So those are not the projects that will be dealt with by the DPWI. So it will be internal. We also have Heldersblom, which is the same that we are in consultation with DPWI, and the completion period is December 2026. And Brantley Bakery is also in planning and design, has been finalized, and we hope that by the 15th of October 2026, it will be finalized. So this one has been assigned to the IDT, so it is not an own resource project. On the next one is Prunpaint, which is also in planning, in consultation with DPWI. With this one, the anticipated target date is the 30th of August 2026. So the project has also been registered as own resource project, and it has commenced during 2024-2025 financial year. So Prunpaint Bakery, we are looking at a production estimate of around 216,000 loaves, which will be produced as soon as it is completed. We have Eckington Bakery, which is also in the Free State and Northern Cape. This is an own resource project that we are currently doing. So the anticipated target date is the 15th of September 2026. Same with Overbeck Bakery, which we are anticipating to complete on the 15th of September 2026. And both of them are own resource projects. The last one is Bavianspoort, which is also in planning. But with regards to Bavianspoort, as we have indicated earlier on, that it is only the center that is not self-sufficient. It is the bakery that is not self-sufficient. So we are looking at expanding the project. So we are looking at the 1st of December 2025 to finalize the expansion. So we hope that these new bakeries, as soon as they are finalized, then it will also be contributing towards self-sufficiency and sustainability within the department. So these projects, this slide and the previous slide, we hope that within the medium term, the MTBF will finalize them. On the next slide, on national bakery performance and cost savings, we are just showing as to how we have saved the department in terms of producing bakeries. We have 4 financial years from 2022-23, 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26. That is the current financial year. So we have just shown the April and May, what we have produced in April and May. So in terms of the quantity or loaves of bread required or ordered from departmental bakeries, we have shown that for 24-25, all the bakeries, they've required 5,272. And the loaves that we have baked, I'm focusing on 24-25 financial year. Then the loaves that we have baked, we baked 5,036. And in terms of the average cost of bread from departmental bakeries, for 2022-23, it's 7 rand 2 cents, 23-24, 8 rand 12 cents, and 24-25, 7 rand 91, and 25-26 is at 8 rand 74. So on the next row, we have quantity of loaves purchased externally. That is only centers with bakeries. So what we mean here is that we have 11 bakeries, and due to other challenges like maybe equipments that are broken during the year or during that quarter, if they are, or maybe load shedding, so whatever challenges that we experience in that center, then we end up not producing the required amount of loaves, then we end up buying the shortfall externally. So when we buy loaves externally, the next row will show the average price of bread purchased externally. For example, let's go to the column on 24-25. We needed 5,272, and internally we paid 5,000,036. And internally, when we calculate the cost, we are saying our cost per bread is 791. Then the difference of what was required and what we paid internally is then 270,000. Then externally, the price of bread, the cost of the bread is 13 rand 36. So the cost savings is 27,499,000. Then in terms of self-sufficiency for 24-25, then we were at 95.52%. So as I've indicated, that some of the challenges that led us to procure externally in those centers that do have bakeries is due to the breakdown of bakery equipments, late delivery of bakery ingredients. Some of our centers are still under renovation and repair of bakery infrastructure. As we also made an example that Babiansburg is not self-sufficient due to renovations. So the variations in costs, they are attributed to change in price of bakery ingredients. So during 24-25 financial year, we have indicated that we had an additional of 2 bakeries, that is Standard 10 and Pietermaritzburg. Then on the next slide, so this is just an example that we have shown in terms of how we calculate the cost. So for our costs on the next slide. So on this slide, we have indicated that in terms of calculating the cost, that is the production cost, we include all the total cost of ingredients that we utilize per month to produce bread. We also include the total cost of all gratuities paid to offenders for the month. We also include total salaries paid to officials working in the bakeries. So I just need to mention that our price, as you can see, that it's low as compared to externally. Then there are other costs that are not being included when we calculate. For example, the lights, water, transportation, the packaging in other correctional centers have not been included. The cleaning and maintenance of baking elements, they are excluded when we calculate the production costs. And I've already indicated that we do have the manual that indicates as to how we produce bread step by step, and also in terms of production cost, what is it that we include in terms of calculating the costs per bread and how we calculate the savings. But it is critical to indicate that there are other costs that we are not calculating. Hence, there is that variation, the difference between what we produce internally and what we procure, the amount that we procure bread externally. On the next slide, we have just indicated the challenges and action plan. Chairperson, we have indicated previously with regard to post-establishment that there is a lack of post-establishment for bakeries, but as we have indicated previously that we are working on the microstructure, and we hope that as soon as we finalize the microstructure, then those posts would have been created by human resources. So the time frame that we are looking at is June 2026. We will be having post-establishment for bakeries. The other challenge is with regards to inadequate funding, especially the capital funds for construction of new bakeries and baking equipment, and also insufficient funds for maintenance and repair, that is bakery structure and baking equipment, as well as for training and development. Hence, even the number of additional bakeries that we have added, we are not adding a huge number of bakeries due to budget cuts and also own resources. Even in terms of own resources, we do have budget cuts. Hence, we have limited ourselves to the number of bakeries that we will be adding. So in terms of the action plan is that there should be an adequate allocation of capital and operational funds, and the responsibility is CFO. So we are looking at February 2026. The next challenge is in terms of load shedding or load reduction. So we are going to prioritize a procurement of generators to ensure sustainable bakery operations. This we have indicated in the presentation that some of the bakeries will find that even if they've required, for example, 100 bread, we ended up producing maybe 60 and procured 30 externally due to some of those challenges. So we would like a procurement of generators to be prioritized to ensure sustainability of our bakery operations. The last challenge is with regards to late delivery of ingredients. So on this one, contract management is working on the issue of contractors, because we do experience challenges in other bakeries whereby the suppliers would deliver the ingredients late, and it affects our production when we do not have ingredients, because in terms of bakeries, they do work 7 days from Monday to Sunday. Every day we need to produce bread because it is being utilized as a supplement for food. So hence we have indicated there in terms of time frame that it is ongoing. That is the last slide from myself. I'm handing over back to Commissioner. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, Minister and Deputy Minister. Thank you, MC.
NC?
Chair, we will now present the last report. It will be presented by the Acting Deputy Commissioner, Supply Chain Management, Ms. Molaba. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Molaba? Is Ms. Molaba on the boardroom in Pretoria or National Commissioner?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Can we see your face? We have never interacted with you in the portfolio committee, so it would be prudent that we get to see the face behind the presenter. Thank you.
Okay, Chair. I think the video is on. I am visible. Can the Chair please confirm?
I see a presentation, unless Sia, are you able to see a face? Yes, now we can see the face.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good morning to you, Chairperson, the Minister and Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, the National Commissioner, and honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and colleagues on the platform. With regard to the presentation on the procurement of perishables and non-perishable food items, I will zoom straight to slide 3 and 4, which talks to the purpose and introduction. Slide number 3, because slide number 2 is just a table of content. So on slide 3 and 4, the presentation focuses on the procurement of perishable and non-perishable food items for inmates. It further outlines the historical challenges with the RFQ method, which is the request for quotation, which led to significant irregular expenditure and issues with food quality and consistency. The presentation then details the rationale for shifting to long-term contracts, describing the new contracted procurement specification of bread and the price negotiation process with 115 successful bidders. Finally, it highlights potential cost savings through the DCS departmental bakeries and discusses plans for ongoing price negotiations for bread on all categories to ensure fair and competitive pricing aligned with the market conditions. Now, on the slide number 5, the historical background. The Department of Correctional Services faced several systematic issues in its procurement of perishable and non-perishable food items, which impacted compliance, service delivery, and financial integrity. And now, these systematic issues include the Auditor General of South Africa giving findings, which is mistakenly captured as qualifications on the report submitted to the committee, on the Department for substantial irregular expenditure, specifically 36.9 million and 194.7 million in 2022-23 and 23-24 financial years, respectively. Secondly, it was on the issues on the reliance on request for quotation method, at which historically DCS dependent on the RFQ methods for procurement, which has revealed systematic shortcomings. This method of RFQ is limited to transactions below 1 million, leading to splitting of procurement cases to meet demand across various areas, management areas, and subsequently resulting in irregular expenditure and also high frequency of procurement events and supplier fragmentation, where the repetitive nature of RFQs led to a high frequency of procurement events involving multiple small-scale suppliers. When we zoom to slide number 6, it outlines the deficiencies on bread supplied via RFQ, where the weight of the bread was often being less than 700 grams, and high volumes were procured without consistent leakage to demand, as the logic system stock level report was not considered. And high volumes led to low prices and high returns. Suppliers could purchase food items from any source, posing a risk of contravening food handling legislation. There were issues with poor nutritional quality of food items, and food items often lacked clearly marked expiry dates. Frequent cancellation of orders and lack of commitment by suppliers were observed. Also, the method of transportation of bread was not adequate nor in line with the prescribed regulation R638. So on slide number 7, it illustrates the historical number of irregular expenditure incidents per region, starting with Gauteng up to KZN, and they are values there too. Slide number 8, 10, it gives the highlight of the AXA findings, where there was a significant irregular expenditure due to non-compliance with Treasury Regulation 16A6.1. And in the 24-25 financial year, irregular expenditure related to perishables and non-perishables was recorded across all regions, with KZN, Eastern Cape, Free State, Northern Cape having the highest incident numbers and amount. As a result of these issues, the procurement processes did not adhere to the principles of fairness, equity, and competitiveness as required by Section 217 of the Constitution and Section 38(1) of PFMA. Payments made under such conditions were deemed irregular expenditure and non-compliant with Treasury regulations. section 16A3.2. To zoom on the common findings mostly linked to the procurement of bread, slide number 8 and 9 will zoom into that, and the impact that too will be on slide 10 and 11. The findings are that there were inconsistent and outdated evaluation criteria, where on audit findings for 24-25 financial year indicated that the specific goal points used in quotation invitations and evaluations were inconsistent with the department's approved procedure manual. And this misalignment could result in incorrect suppliers being awarded, compromising the integrity of the evaluation process and creating misalignment with the department's preferential procurement objectives and policy intent. And also applying incorrect specific goal points also led to the award of a higher price quotation, and then potentially it resulted in irregular expenditure and undermining cost effectiveness. This constitutes non-compliance with a triple PFA and a preferential procurement regulations, the Public Finance Management Act, and Section 38(1)(3). Secondly, when we go to the next slide, which is 11, the department applied the outdated and invalid evaluation criteria by requiring suppliers to submit a certificate of acceptability for food premises issued under Regulation 962, despite this regulation having been repealed and replaced by Regulation R638 on the 22nd of June 2018. This practice disadvantaged compliant suppliers holding valid certificates under current R638 regulation and favored suppliers with outdated documentation, introducing a regulatory misalignment with the current South African food safety laws. This undermines the fairness, transparency, and legality of the procurement process and creating an unjust barrier to entry for compliant prospective buyers. The use of outdated references suggested a lack of proper oversight, potentially leading to invalid disqualification or otherwise compliant suppliers, resulting in irregular expenditure and legal disputes. Now, to address and down-manage these irregularities and maladministration found by AGSA, the Department of Correctional Services has now shifted its procurement strategy from a heavy reliance on the RFQ method to a contract-based approach to ensure fairer and more compliant food procurement. This is now addressed on slide number 12, where it shows the correct and approved specification of bread. The bid specification committee considered the food specification as approved by the food nutritionist, including the site visit report and challenges and responded with the following criteria. The product, which is of the bread specification requirements, must weigh between 700 and 800 grams. The food product must be transported in a vehicle that comply with prescripts of Regulation R638 under Act 54 of 1972. And in all cases in which bread is dispatched by rail, the bread must be packed in suitable containers to ensure that the content is protected during transportation from dust, loss, and or decay. Food premises must have a valid certificate of acceptability issued by the respective municipality and the confirmation of financial capacity by supplier and security of supply. Mandatory warehouse criteria in line with food storage and handling legislation and regulations. Now, when we zoom to slide number 13 on our price negotiation process, DCS employed a structured process for price negotiation to ensure fairness and cost effectiveness. A price negotiation committee was appointed in line with the departmental procurement manual, where the market analysis and benchmarking analyzed and compared bidders' proposed prices against market study prices. Also, market prices for bread was obtained from various wholesalers, manufacturers, and retailers such as Checkers, Sunbake, Blue Ribbon, and Pick n Pay. An average price was determined from these third-party sources, which was then compared to the lowest and highest prices offered by the top 5 bidders, including packaging and transportation costs, to establish a competitive, suitable for each region. All negotiated prices were based on thorough market assessments to prevent underquoting or inflated prices, ensuring fairness and industry alignment. For engagement with bidders, which is on slide number 14 to 15, initial proposed prices were communicated to bidders who were given 3 days to either accept or reject them. Bidders who rejected the proposed prices were requested to provide their reasons and submit counter proposal for the department's consideration. Prices were then adjusted to realign with the market and bidders' requests, or kept the same based on the market determination. And the final determined prices by the committee were signed off by the chairperson of the negotiation committee and communicated to bidders for their concurrence or rejection. All 115 successful bidders for bid 04-2023 eventually signed off and approved the final proposed prices. On slide number 16, addresses the national in-house bakery performance and cost savings, showing the production cost of internal bread. That includes the total cost of ingredients utilized for the month to produce a bread, and the total cost of all gratuities paid to offenders for the month, total salaries paid to bakery officials. Now, these costs, they excluded the cost of lights, water, transportation, packaging, salaries, and of officials in the correctional center involved in the value chain, cleaning and maintenance of baking elements. Slide number 17, it illustrates current regional pricing data as it's the 1st of April 2025 on the new contract per region, and ultimately national average mean price of 23.85. Slide number 18 illustrates the average cost of bread from departmental bakeries and average price of bread purchased externally on quotations and contracts from 2022-23 to 25-26, and only on 25-26 we zoomed into April and May months. Also, the slide highlighted the quantity or shortfall of bread purchased externally for correctional centers where there are bakeries, and that bakery was purchased externally due to some breakdown of bakery equipment or late delivery of baking ingredients. Slide number 19 on fair and uniform pricing negotiations. All negotiated prices were based on thorough market assessment to prevent underquoting or inflated pricing, ensuring fairness and industry alignment. Bread prices offered by bidders on all categories, which is your halal, non-halal, white, brown, and whole wheat, were benchmarked per region to different third-party suppliers, most commonly Checkers, Sunbake, Blue Ribbon, and Pick n Pay. An average price from all prices derived from commonly used third parties was determined compared to the lowest and highest prices offered by top 5 bidders, including packaging and transportation costs, to come up with a competitive price suitable per region, per each region. Prices were uniformly negotiated across all successful bidders within each region. Adjustments were made for market volatility as permitted by RFP clause 37.2. Slide number 20 on new price negotiations. The department is empowered to review prices based on market volatility. Future prices reviews for all commodities will use original manufacturer prices charged to retailers as the basis. while also accommodating supplier sustainability and profitability through markup considerations. This approach aims to ensure consistency, equality, and the value, with bread prices adjusted to remain below the retail price. A detailed timeline is set for these new prices negotiations involving market analysis, supplier outreach, proposal development, and confirmation of agreements. The slide number 21 outlines project plan on timeline breakdown and activities for new price negotiations, which is planned to commence from the 14th to the 26th of July 2025. It is recommended that the portfolio committee takes note of the presentation and its contents. I thank you, Chair.
National Commissioner?
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chairperson, I just wanted to make some small additions, starting with the first presentation on the usage of consultants. The CFO, when he was presenting, he indicated that there are consultants that we utilized to treat fruitless, irregular, and wasteful expenditure. Now, the process, as determined or outlined by Treasury regulations and the PFMA, requires of us to identify, investigate, and either condone or ensure that the state recovers the funds lost under these three categories, which is irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. So those consultants were assisting us to administer the whole process, including submitting applications to Treasury for condonement where the treatment requires. So as a result, we're able to treat more than 5 billion irregular, fruitless, wasteful expenditure that was historical, paving a way for us to be able to start seeing clearly what are the line items and findings that we need to treat to get to a clean audit. And that also assisted us to focus more on the current years so that we are also able to cap or strengthen internal controls so that we don't continue incurring or increasing irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure over the years. And the audit outcomes of the department speaks to that. Then on the presentation on bakeries, when it comes to new bakeries that we envisage to establish, there is an emphasis on consulting with the Department of Public Works. I just wanted to clarify that that process only talks to two issues. The first one is registration, because for us to implement any project as the department, as a user, we need to register that project with the Department of Public Works because they are custodians in terms of the Giyama Act. Then the second one is the approval of the designs. And we are in discussions with the Department of Public Works that we cannot always go back to Public Works and Infrastructure to approve same type of designs for same type of construction or renovation. The outcome would be that they will approve standard designs for any type of project or renovation, construction or renovation project, and then we just implement, because if you look at bakeries, the design is more or less the same. So for us to keep on going back to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure delays the execution of the project. And then on the last presentation, with regards to determination of prices, there is a variable that, in fact, it affects both the presentation on the bakeries and the presentation on the prices of bread. The prices of commodities are affected by the location with regards to the source of supply and the source of delivery, meaning that a particular commodity would be higher in terms of a price or cost in a location where the source of supply is far or is not in a metropolitan area. So even with bread, for instance, is the same. In areas that are rural, bread would be a bit higher. In areas that are urban and metropolitan areas, the price would be a bit low because the source of supply or the source or the manufacturer would be near the point of delivery. So I thought I must just make that point, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Minister, Deputy Minister, and honorable members.
Thank you so much, NC. DM?
No, thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, still morning. Good morning to yourself too. I think the presentation has covered what the department has envisaged to present, but key to that, as we look into these issues of pricing and the cost, yes, we want to render a service that is costs efficient and saving to the department, but also look into the issues that just the NC has raised, that some of the costs are built in, we haven't yet calculated them, but ours is to make sure that we reduce the cost in terms of accessing that service. Also, the issue of the consultant, I think the CFO has covered us very well. I am okay, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. Minister?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, no, I don't have much to add. I said when we started, and I want to say it again, we are looking in the process, especially when it comes to bread. We will also look in all the other purchases of other commodities and everything. And in the end, the whole center and the essence of the matter is, and I repeat it again, to ensure a quality product, but what is the most efficient and what is the cheapest for the department. And that should be right through the government so that we can see that we save money. When it comes to the consultants, you will see that we had a spike in 21-22 of 136 million. For 25-26, it is coming down. We're looking at 29.2 million. I will also look at the policy in terms of consultants from my side. We must be absolutely sure that when we appoint a consultant, that it is necessary that we don't have their own expertise so that we can also save the money. I can say, and I said it before, if you look, for instance, at Auditor General's reports on various departments, consultants are very high, and many questions are asked about consultants and the necessity. Of course, you will need, and as the National Commissioner has mentioned, there are certain circumstances where you have no option. But from my side, I want to say that we will look very carefully into that and see what money we can save. Thank you, Chair. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Minister. DM and NC, with the presentations that we would have received as led by the CFO, Mrs. Molepo and Mrs. Molaba. I hope I pronounced their surname very well. I will therefore invite members of the Portfolio Committee to raise hands or clarities. Honorable Soko.
Yes, please consider my hand, Chair.
Okay, you will start. Honorable Daniels, you will follow. Bear with me, colleagues. I'm trying to see hands. Honorable
Madam
Sokopa.
Chair, I raised my hand, but it's up. But I can't find the thing here.
The thing that makes you to raise your hand, Honorable
Yeah,
Engel.
I can't find it.
Noted. So Honorable Sokopa, you will start. Honorable Daniels will follow. Honorable Muela, you will be the third one. Honorable Engelbrecht, you will be the fourth.
And mine also, Chair, is up.
Babkasa, yes, I see the hand. I'm trying to say Honorable Engelbrecht has found his hand. We congratulate you. Babkasa, then you will come in, and then Honorable Claude, you'll come in. I see we have a guest in our midst. Welcome back, Honorable Mwali. You'll be the last hand. So the first hand would be Honorable Sokopo, followed by Honorable Daniels. And then the third hand will be Honorable Moela, followed by Honorable Engelbrecht, Babkasa, and then Claude and Mwali. Honorable Sokopo, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair.
You must in future find an icon of raising your hand, like how Engelbrecht has found his.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I will ask him to teach me at 2 o'clock. Thank you, Chair, and I really want to welcome the report and greetings to the Minister, Deputy Minister, and the team of Correctional Service, and to my colleagues indeed. Chair, I have 16 questions. One, Chair, I wanted to check on this issue of consultants. How many contracts are in place for each identified category? And how many will be lapsing soon, say in June or July? Or I mean in July, August, or this year at least. And from those contracts, Chair, is there a possibility that some would a need? Is there a need that some would have to be extended? And or is there a gain in terms of the skill that we say out of this contract, this is a skill that we got, and we are moving away from a contract, from a consultancy here. I just wanted to check that on consultancy, Chair. On the bakeries, Chair, I wanted to check what informs the increase of bread, Chair. And really, Chair, I must raise it here because from where I'm seated, I take offense that our intelligence is tested when an issue of ingredients is mentioned. It has been a year that we're in this committee. Yourself and Honorable Engelbrecht have been here more than that. So it could never be that a rise of bread, it raised that of ingredients, because one would have then have to ask, where are you buying bread? Are you not buying where South Africa is buying bread? Is this a special bread that you would move from 12 rand to 22 rand or something? And I'm happy with the submission made by the minister to say he also now realized that there is a problem and probably there is intervention that's going to take place. The last part on the price of bread, Chair, I'm saying, and I make an example of Goodwood, if you buy 1,900 to 2,000 bread daily, or let's take KZN, a big prison like Westville in Durban, where you buy about 3,500 to 4,000 bread per day. Are you not supposed to get, because business sense says to me, the more the volume, the less the money you spend. But here at Correctional Service, it is known that if a day you spend, let's take Goodwood, you buy 1,000, it means that in 30 days you're going to buy plus minus 30,000 bread. You are a for sure case to whoever that is supplying you. Is that not amounting for you to get discount? As opposed a shop owner who buys 200, 150 loaves of bread and still get it cheaper than what Correctional Service is getting from. I think, Chair, we must just be fixed there. And please, the issue of ingredients can never rise. It has never been a problem. Unless we are going to say here, we had a problem with ingredients, and in us, we had to look at, because one would have then to ask you, if you say there has been problems with ingredients, what was the ingredients then? What are they today? And how did you know that indeed, that bakeries are now complying with the new set of ingredients? So the issue of ingredients, I just think that it's really undermining our intelligence, Chair. On the last question on construction of bakeries, I wanted to check to the CFO the steps taken to ensure that there will be adequate allocations for next year on this issue. My last question, Chair, the rest I'll leave for my colleagues. What is the current makeup of this year's panel of service providers for the supply of perishable and non-perishable? In the previous committee, there was a system that we explained there that you are going to check it in 6 months and what. I'm interested to know the first 6 months that you took now, from where are they hailing to supply South Africa? From where are they hailing? You would have then have that information with you. Are they across? Do you have a supplier from Ntabankulu who's supplying the Western Cape? Or do you have a supplier from anywhere else? I really want to know from where does this suppliers come from. I wanted to check also, how is the department maintaining transparency and efficiency in the supply process? In supporting, because you see, one of the problems that I have, Chair, is that the department is a government department, and government forever encourages the issue of SMMEs, support of SMMEs. Now, I am even checking, Chair, you give a company of Tzaneen to supply bread in Gqeberha. Clearly, Chair, that company of Tzaneen would not take bread from Tzaneen to Gqeberha. That company would have to go and look for bread in Gqeberha to supply bread, because it's something that would have to be done every day. And I'm asking myself, did you thought about it, even on the issues of perishables and non-perishables, that which ones are the ones that you would have thought that these would be better placed with locals? Fish, a company from Ntabankulu in the Eastern Cape, is supplying fish to West Coast, whereas Saldanha is a fish place. So it means that that person of Ntabankulu would have to come to West Coast and ask people of West Coast to assist him or her with fish, where you would have taken somebody from the West Coast to supply the fish. Now somebody from someone else must come and now have a deal or look for a subcontractor, because this fish this person will have to get it in Saldanha to supply Saldanha. Chair, let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sokopo. Honorable Daniels.
Yeah, good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, fellow honorable members. Good morning to all. Department of Correctional Services. I want to welcome the presentation by everybody. And I'm not going to be long. I want to talk about our staple diet, which is bread. The rest of the things we will talk about this afternoon in the House. But I think to get many things out of the way before I talk about the staple diet is to give to those who want to hear this, and somebody needs to hear this. I want to give you the assurance as a Patriotic Alliance that we are supporting this budget. This afternoon, now in full support. Don't be confused. So now that I've mentioned that, let me come straight to the staple diet issue. You know, Honorable Sokopo has raised something very disturbing. If you listen to what he said and understand what he said, the Honorable Member, it gives us reason to ask the Minister and the Deputy Minister to zoom into the service providers. Let us look at, and I'm really appealing, let us look at those service providers. For how long have they been the service providers for the department? Because the problem is, and nobody wants to talk about it, you will find evergreen arrangements with service providers. And I'm asking here for an investigation. I'm not saying it is the case. This is a general statement across all other directorates and portfolios. You find service providers who have had evergreen arrangements. Then you see, but hey, for so many years it's the same people. You know why? Because they are there, because they're taking care of somebody who got them in there as a service provider. That is why they will have forever green arrangements. We need to look at the timeframes for how long. And it's also fair and just to afford opportunities to other service providers also. Why must Marlon Daniels bakeries forever for the last 10 years being the service provider? As for reasons aforementioned. So please look into that so that we can also give other people a chance. People are hopeless when it comes to applying for jobs because they know it's again the same people. So that is my one point I want to register. Straight to the bread issue. I'm glad the minister raised the cost of paying for a loaf of bread. It's ridiculous. We must consider that the cost to bake one loaf of bread is somewhere around 3 Rand 20 cents, 3 Rand 50 cents a loaf. That is your cost. Why do we find that in other shops where we live, you go around there and you can buy a loaf of bread for 6 Rand, 6 Rand 50. A 700-gram loaf of bread for 6 Rand 50 at most. Checkers sometimes sell the loaves of bread for 10 Rand. So how is it then possible that if somebody sells 6 Rand 50 loaves of bread, that we must pay 20 Rand for a loaf of bread for the Department of Correctional Services? It's a hell of a lot of money that has been wasted because somebody is becoming the beneficiary of that hiked prices so that they can make sure they leave a portion of that proceeds of that sales of bread to those people who they own money to say thank you for keeping me here as a service provider. And that is really what I want to say. We must seriously look into this. Anything else that we want to say as a Patriotic Alliance, we will reserve for this afternoon when we do our declarations. I want to thank you so much, Chairperson and fellow colleagues.
Thank you so much, Honorable Daniels, and it's good to have you back. Honorable Muela.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and greetings to the Minister, DM, National Commissioner, and the presenters, and everyone in the platform, and honorable members. Chair, I also want to appreciate the 3 reports from the department, which of course are gunning towards what the department aims to achieve, which is self-sustainability, equitability, and transparency with regard to ensuring that they deliver services on their own with the aim of saving money. And doing that also being transparent to the processes that are utilized to the public, so is to gain public confidence and etc. So I want to concur with what honorable members have said here with regard to ensuring that they cut time in terms of who is offered that particular responsibility, and also who received that particular responsibility and for how long, as the aim of giving others that particular equitable share to indulge in this particular process of supply and of perishable and other items which the department would have made to the public to supply. So I just want to make few questions with regard to the construction of bakeries and refurbishments. The first question will be, what is the differentiation between projects registered as own resource projects and those registered as IDT? And what is the basis for that differentiation? With regard to slide 10, Honorable Chair, the slide 10 indicates that there are 6 bakeries targeted for establishment in the year 2026, all which are still at consultation stage with the Department of Public Works. What are some of the approvals required from Department of Public Works? What guarantee does the department have that it will meet these particular targets that have been set? Then what does the average bakery structure entail in terms of human resources required? How many posts is the department projecting, and have the creation of posts been reflected in the financial year 2025 and 2026 annual performance plan, which have been presented here to the portfolio committee? With regard to procurement of perishable and non-perishable food items, there is a public speculation, Chair, that the move to the tendering system has led to increased food prices on the department, where food items are contracted for double their prices. What is the basis of this speculation, and what is the department's response with regard to these speculations which were made? And lastly, Chair, with regard to the use of consultations, Chair, what has been the total expenditure for consultants across the 8 areas that have been identified by the presentation? What can the department provide more information on the specialized work done by the consultants on temporary incapacity leave application, and why is incapacity leave a complex duty for internal human resource processes? I think I will submit those questions for now, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Muela. Honorable Engel.
That's it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be short and sweet. A greeting to all the colleagues and the Minister, Deputy Minister, and DCS officials. And thank you very much for the presentations that were made. I just have I think, 3. Some of my questions has already been posed by other colleagues, which will make mine much shorter. Can you please explain what's the root cause of the department's reliance on external consultants, and how does project complexity contribute to this dependency? What strategies are being implemented to enhance internal capacity, reduce consultant-related expenditure, and align consultants' services with organizational priorities? In your presentation, you highlighted 8 categories of consultants that the department uses. Can you please provide expenditure for each of those categories for the 24-25 financial year? And then lastly, I think in terms of the bakeries, I think it's an excellent project that saves the department millions. The problems highlighted is noted, and I'm confident that the department will expand this project much further. I think it's good, and in terms of our self-sufficiency program, this goes a long way. Look, there are problems, but the way that it was presented to us, acknowledging and highlighting the problem areas, and to come up with suggested remedies for those problems is very good. I'm very much in favor of the expansion of this project. Thank you very much. That's all from my side, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Engel. Babkasa.
Okay. Chair, I see that the department's procurement practices have jeopardized inmates' health and safety. When suppliers delivered underweight bread, which is less than 700 grams, and failed to mark expiry date on food items, while contracts were awarded based on invalid food safety certificates. And I also see that these failures violate the Food Staff Act 54 of 1972 and Section 24, subsection A of the Constitution, which guarantees the rights of an environment that is not harmful to health. So now, Minister, in light of these health risks, can you provide all health inspection reports for contracted suppliers to verify compliance? And will you explain how Regulation R962 certificates were accepted 6 years after their repeal? And commit to laying criminal charges against suppliers who violated food safety laws? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Babkasa. Honorable Kluwate.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chair, before I go to my questions, I think at one point the committee must sit down to check what is the possibility to work out a plan to ensure that at every correctional centers that we have bakeries within and make it compulsory. So, Honorable Chair, allow me to welcome the presentations that was presented. Also allow me to go straight to the questions that I'm going to ask on the constructions of bakeries and refurbishment of kitchens. I just wanted to know what is the reason for the significant project decrease in the quantity of loaves purchased externally from the 270,870 in the 2024-2025 year to 48,000 in the 2025-2026 year, if bakeries are still at consultation stage. On the second presentation, also allow me to check what has been the financial implication of moving the RFQ system to appointment of service providers. Are there areas where the department is saving on costs? On the presentations of consultants, what has the department opted to contract consultants for translation service instead of creating a post for language practitioners? What has been the demand for incapacity leave applications over the past 3 years? And the last question, Honorable Chair, what steps has the department taken to ensure a retention of skills after contracted a period of consultants? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Tluoto. Honorable Mwali, and welcome back.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, Minister and the DM and the National Commissioner and the team. My network is a bit not okay, Chairperson, but let me shoot straight to the questions. The issue of the use of consultant is one of the big issues that were highlighted by AG on many departments and the municipalities. The reason, Chair, that the AG highlights this issue is because in most cases, it doesn't translate to skills transfer. So I want to ask directly from the department as to, for a scenario, a case study where they've used a consultant and the consultant transferred the skills to our personnel in the department, and we have now the skill that we obtained from the use of consultant. That's number one. Number two, Chairperson, I saw that there was a use of consultant with specifically to address the issue of the UIFWE, which is then fine because there you need specialized skills like investigators and all of that. Now, I want to check, Chairperson, how much did we recover, if there was amounts that were recovered by the department from the investigations that were conducted by those consultants? Did you recover any monies as a department? Number one. Number two, are there any individuals in the department or outside that are held accountable for the wrongdoings, or any wrongdoings, if there were any wrongdoings? And also consequence management. Are you in a position to tell us about, from the investigations that were conducted on the UIFWE, were there any consequence management that, or is there consequence management that you are going to be implementing as a result of the findings of these investigations? Or this was just a matter of making sure that we write off the amounts or the historical amounts that are sitting as a UIFWE? Because this has been an amount that has been sitting on our books for a very long time. So I want to know, from these investigations or from this use of consultants, did we manage to get to the culprits of the wrongdoers? Can you see did we manage to see the faces of the people that are hiding on the numbers that were sitting on our books? So those are the two questions that I had, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mwali. And it's good to have your inputs back in the committee. We hope it's not only today. You'll equally join in other meetings as you are an alternate to this committee. Minister, DM and the National Commissioner, I'll hand over to yourselves.
Excuse me, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Mrs. Diale.
Sorry, may I ask questions, because I'm struggling to get my hand up. So I was waiting for members to finish questions, and then I'll let you know that I'm also going to ask questions.
Okay, you may proceed.
Sorry about that, Chair. Thank you. Chair, in other instances have been covered by members, but particularly in respect of the question that Honorable Mwali has asked, I need to put it the way I had phrased it so that all avenues are covered in respect of that. So my question is, are there services or instances where the department has used consultant for more than 5 years? And then if there are such situations, why are there no skills transferred by now to the department if there's situations like that? That's number one. And follow up on that as well. Are there instances where currently we are saying these are consultants working within the department, and this is a team of employees from the department who are being trained as we speak by those consultants, which would mean then at the end of the consultant's term, the department employees or staff will then take over the services as provided or as trained. Secondly, Chair, I just want to check, what is the rationale for the department to give supply contracts to people who are from other provinces? Like, Honorable Sokopa has given an example of Zanini and Eastern Gqeberha, Eastern Cape. So I just want to check what is the rationale for that, especially in relation to perishables, breads and other perishables that you can talk about or that you need as a department. That's the other question. And then the third question is when you negotiate for tenders, when you do negotiate your tenders, don't you look for bidders who would offer prices that are less than what is currently on the table? Like you say, bread somebody has offered 12 rand. Then we need somebody who can provide or supply bread for less than that, or at least don't you take the lowest prices? Would you, as a department, tell us that 22 rand was the lowest prices you could get from all the bidders? If that's the situation, what were the other prices that were bidded for that the department did not take? Or did we have just one bidder of 22 rand? I don't understand how we got to 22 rand as a price of bread, especially where we supposed to be buying in bulk. You remember the okay, let me leave that part because it has been asked. Okay, that's all, Chair, for now. I'll come back with follow-up if need be.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Diale. Minister and the Deputy Minister and the National Commissioner, I'll hand over to your good selves to respond and clarify questions that members would have posed.
Thank you.
Yes, Minister, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Chair, I will only respond to the more broader from the National Commissioner side. There are specific questions on specific details, and he will answer to that. Let me say there was a question from the Honourable Sokopo in terms of whether there is a complete list, and can we give a complete list of the perishable and non-perishable goods. Yes, there are such lists, and I did see them, and we are busy dealing with that. That's where it all started. It actually links up with what the Honourable Daniels had said. He said we must zoom in on the service providers, and one matter is for how long do we have certain providers. I can assure the Honourable Member that's exactly what I'm busy with. That's why there is a revision of the whole, can I say, procedures when it comes specifically to bread. And exactly what the Honourable Diale also just now said, that's what I said from the beginning. It is unacceptable that the department pays 23 rand for a loaf of bread, but you can get the same type of bread loaves for around about 13 rand or 14 rand. And I have explained, what was explained was that it was actually market price. And we said, and I said, that is not acceptable. And I reiterate again, we must get the best price, complying to all the requirements. I think it was Honourable Makasa or someone who'd ask the supply of all suppliers. Yes, of course, there is a list of all the suppliers. And are we committed that we will take criminal charges of those who have violated on the contracts and everything? I want to assure the Honourable Member that if there is any possibility of criminal charges where violations took place, then I will see that those criminal charges take place. So there's no doubt about that. I think the Honourable Engelbrecht, okay, that is part of the root causes for the consultants. And I say again, you will see in the presentation for this financial year, 25-26, and many of the contracts are coming to an end. And I want to say again that I will issue some policies as far as that is concerned, that new consultants be approved by myself as Minister. So I think the National Commissioner can further elaborate on that. There was an Honourable Kluter who said whether it's possible to have bakeries in all our correctional centers. Of course, that's ideal. But now I must say to the honourable member that you have certain management areas that where more than one correctional centre is part of that area. And of course, it is possible that one bakery at one centre can provide for 3 or 4 other centres. So it's not a matter of that you have a bakery in each and every correctional centre. I mean, we have 243 correctional centres. It is impossible, it's no need, because as long as we, and that must be the ideal, that in the end, we can supply all our correctional centres with bread baked by our own bakeries. I think that's ideal. So, Chair, that is from my side, and I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. DM?
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Let's appreciate all the inputs and questions from members, and also indicate, Chair, that will allow NC and the team to go and give those details. Where we don't have details as requested by the Portfolio Committee, that we should submit in writing, but also to deal with the issue of why giving tenders to people who are not from that province. We are a national department, and we shall serve all the people of the Republic. And our own supply chain processes and policies speaks to open system that anybody can, who have an interest, who qualifies, who meet the requirements, can be appointed anywhere in the Republic. But your preferential procurement policy, it talks to your local, preferably if there's local people, you will also prioritize them. It doesn't mean that if they can't find a person in Mpumalanga, therefore that service cannot be rendered. We are a national department, hence everybody will put it out there for everybody in the Republic who has interest, who has capacity, who meets the requirement, can apply to render to the department. We must shy away from trying to regionalize or provincialize too much things and not give opportunity to other people that are competent. Because if you cannot, you don't meet the requirements, the next person that is there who qualifies can be given. But we must never forget also the issue of empowering local people who are competent and also building that capacity where it's lacking. We have those policies, and Portfolio Committee members are suitable members where, because these policies, these laws that governs this country are brought before the portfolio and adopted by our good selves. If there's any amendments in terms of the policies that are not biased to anything that we do, the same process must be given that back to restart and review those processes so that we're not in breach or in conflict with the laws that we have passed ourselves, and make sure that we comply. But I will give it to the administration to deal with the other nitty-gritties. Thank you very much, Chair.
National Commissioner?
Thank you, Chair. Let me also thank the honourable members for the engagements. Appreciate the opportunity to respond, Honourable Chairperson, and thank the Minister and the Deputy Minister. We have presented 3 presentations, and Honourable Chairperson, I will then provide responses on the basis of each. So I will start with the presentation on bakeries, which didn't have a lot of questions, and the Minister has also dealt with one of the questions from Honourable Klute on making it compulsory to have every centre having a bakery. That's where we are going to, and that's why, as it was asked on the allocation, what we are ensuring is that every year we have a number of bakeries based on our own assessment of which ones can be delivered quicker. So we put them in the plans, and the ones that are listed are the ones that we are going to deliver, and there are allocations that we have secured against those projects. The difference between IDT and own projects, IDT is an implementing agency under the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. So it would be projects that we have allocated to the IDT to implement on behalf of the department. We have a service level agreement that we sign with the IDT on a yearly basis. Own projects, these are projects that we implement utilizing our own resources, including offender labor. Approvals required from DPW, as I've indicated, is on basically registering the projects and the designs. And I've indicated that we're taking a new approach where we're going to submit standard designs to DPWI and get approvals, so that when we implement projects in batches, as we are doing, we don't always have to go to DPWI to get approvals. The creation of posts for bakeries, we are doing that as we go, because we cannot create posts before we put into motion plans for a bakery. It's the same as pharmacies. As we put plans to build pharmacies, we then create in the structure posts for pharmacies, so that when you open a pharmacy or a bakery, you then have the required skills to run that establishment. So that on the issue of bakeries, I think those will be my responses. We'll continue to ramp up the establishment of bakeries. I will then move to the presentation on consultants, Honorable Chairperson. With regards to the consultants that were working on irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. Yes, okay, let me basically indicate that with all the consultants, there is a provision in the contracts or service level agreement for skills transfer. So we at least make it a point that happens. On the issue of those that are working on irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, the issue of consequence management, we have cases that we have administered as the department with regards to these categories of transgressions, and we can provide the information to the portfolio committee. With regards to how much did we recover, I will request the CFO to then deal with that. The root causes of utilizing consultants is basically the fact that as a department, we would not have those skills or experience, or that experience residing in the department. A second reason would be that we have but limited capacity, so we need to augment our own capacity. The third reason, as the CFO did indicate when he was presenting, is services that in any case as the department we can't do without. And for instance, the AG fees are counted as part of the consultants. And the issue of utilizing consultants to deal with the issues of incapacity when it comes to the health of our employees, it is a complicated task, because you need to investigate, make it a point that this person that has applied for medical onboarding really qualifies. So you need that experience and expert advice on that. And these are panels that are procured by the Department of Public Service and Administration, and as the department, we participate on those, same as RT contracts that are procured by the by Treasury. Provision of expenditure on all categories of consultants. The minister did indicate that we will be able to provide that information. Then, Honorable Chairperson, I will move over to the questions or, yes, engagements on the issue of the price of bread and the new contract. And I will start with the issues that were raised by Honorable Kasa on the examples that we provided in the presentation with regards to irregular expenditure that arises from quotations. Because the issues that Honorable Kasa was tabling, not complying with health regulations and food handling legislation, and utilization of old regulations, that is an example that has to do with quotations. And that's the reason why we had to move to a contract system. And that's why the specifications in terms of, as outlined on the presentation, clearly indicate that we are now making sure that legislation is followed, regulations are followed, and we curb or do away with the risk of our offenders being exposed to consuming rations that might lead to health risks. So with regards to following up on those, we are going to follow up on those that have caused this type of irregularity, or those that have caused us wasteful and unauthorized expenditure, and where there is a need to prefer criminal charges, we will do so. But the new contract, what it does, it helps us manage the occurrence of such, because if you are procuring through quotations, it means all the 239 correctional facilities under 42 management areas, 6 regions, will be sending out requests for quotations for the same line item again and again. So the exposure of the department to the risk of audit findings is high as compared to having one contract that the whole department then manages and is subjected to. A contract that, even when it comes to the auditing process, will be audited as one contract, in the state of having a number of procurement transactions done through quotations audited. We provided examples. We did not give the portfolio committee the whole list of findings that are raised by the Auditor General, and we can provide that. The audit is still continuing. The problem with how this has played itself in the past is that when regions are audited and there are these types of irregularities, they would point at national and say, we don't have a contract. Now we have a contract, but we still have some regions not utilizing the contract, continuing with quotations and continuing to make us incur this type of irregularities. So this is what we will address as we proceed. The contract has been in existence from April. The issue of the prices, as we have indicated in the presentation, we are renewing not only for bread, but for all the commodities. And as we have indicated in terms of the new negotiation process, we are going to focus on the manufacturers. The formula that was utilized in the market study included manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers. And an average price was worked on the basis of the 3. We have already, for instance, on the issue of the bread, we have already started engaging the manufacturers. And they have provided us with what would be the prices if the department were to engage them through the suppliers that have been appointed. I did indicate, making an addition on the presentation, that the prices will differ given the locality with regards to a proximity to supply. So the prices that will be subjected to by Sunbake or any other manufacturer to supply to Hoshimampuru would be different from the prices that would be subjected to for a correctional facility or management area like Umtata. But at least we will be focusing on the original manufacturers, and we will build the prices for negotiations based on original manufacturers. The issue of locality and prioritizing local suppliers, that the deputy minister was able to deal with. This was a national tender. All suppliers in the country or business entities in the country were given an opportunity to tender. And as to the information with regards to which supplier comes from which province, we will provide that to the portfolio committee. Safe to say, the list that we have of suppliers is based on which supplier submitted a bid for which province or region. Some submitted for all, some submitted for a selection, as it were. How do we ensure transparency? The documentation is there, is currently also being audited by the Auditor General. We are open to provide information on request in line with the applicable regulations to the public, and of course to the portfolio committee as directed, with no restrictions, as we deem that to be part of us accounting to the portfolio committee. I have just indicated, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, that the average price that was utilized to administer negotiations was worked out on the basis of prices from manufacturers, retailers, and wholesalers. Now, that would, for instance, be a price from Checkers, as the acting DC indicated, a price from Sunbake, and a price from retailers. So in the new process, what we are looking at is a price from the manufacturers, and we will then be saying to the suppliers through that process, you have to ensure that adding your markup, which will be, the markup I was told on this was around 7% on the current contract. So based on that, to ensure that these suppliers do sustain themselves, and as businesses, they can also grow their businesses moving forward, the markup will be kept at that level, the lowest possible for a business entity to survive and grow. And we will focus on the prices from the original manufacturers. The issue of bidders that bid with low prices, and why were they not considered? They were considered. Those that did not get to be awarded will be because, apart from the fact being that they have low prices, there are other functionality or specifications that they didn't comply with. So, for instance, a bidder can have a low price, but not have the necessary required health certificates or food handling certificates. So, as the department, we can't award to that type of a bidder because there is other mandatory requirements that they do not qualify for. The issue of ingredients, as it was raised by Honorable Sokop, has to do with the nutritional value. As we have indicated that the new contract, the ingredients were approved by a nutritionist from the department. There are different types of breads. Honorable Sokopo has been able to indicate that, even in terms of the weighing. On the side of quotations, management areas and correctional facilities could order bread regardless of whether it's 700 gram or it's 800 gram, and all other considerations, including legal and regulatory considerations, were not guaranteed. And that we have been able to show in the presentation, and that is what we corrected with the new contract. And that puts the department in a position where we have, if not eliminated, reduced the risk of litigation if offenders get sick, as I have indicated. Now, there are some forms of bread that would be produced and procured from establishments that are not complying with legislation and regulations. And of course, the price would be far lower. And there would be types of bread that comply and the price would be low, as we have all been able to experience as we move around comparing prices of bread. Hence, we are saying that we are going to now focus on the manufacturers and not bring in wholesalers and retailers in the formulation of the approach to the negotiations. One of the issues that I did raise, Honorable Chairperson, and I will draw to a close now, on the issue of quotations, is that we did do investigations as reported by some of our officials. Those investigations were done by the Departmental Investigation Unit. There are officials that are suspended. They have been charged, and others, we are continuing to charge them. Because one of the things that was uncovered is that in as much as this was supposed to be a quotation system, and I'm answering the question from Honorable Daniels, the same suppliers would always be the ones that are appointed on a supposedly rotational quotation system. So we go out on quotation, we're supposed to get suppliers rotating and changing, but the same supplier will always come through. And that for us, as I've indicated, became an antithesis of what is supposed to be a quotation system. If you will be guaranteed to provide services to the department for 5 years, we have an analysis report that shows that every time we ask for quotations in Durban, in Kimberley, in these management areas, it will always be the same supplier that makes it. And that obviously was not in compliance with Section 217 of the Constitution in terms of fairness and competitiveness. But it also showed that the quotation system itself was manipulated. So those investigations have the last part of those negotiations is being finalized, but already there are officials, as I've indicated, that are going through disciplinary processes. A case in point is Durban Westville in the KZN region, and some of the officials are from management. Honorable Chairperson, I will stop there and request through you, Honorable Chairperson, that colleagues that I am with make additions where I did not cover with regards to answering the questions. Safe to say that, as I've indicated, the contract has just started, and already the process to review the prices has been put in motion, and the approach is to take the prices down in line with what original manufacturers would be providing to us. The last point, Honorable Chairperson, is that in as much as you have the known original manufacturers, there are retailers, for instance, that would have their own manufacturers or facilities that bakes bread for them. For instance, if you take a retailer like Woolworths, they are not buying from Sunbake and all these brands that we know of manufacturers. They have their own manufacturing process that is supplying Woolworths only. Hence, you will see their price of bread will differ from the prices of bread that would be found on the shelves of Checkers, Pick n Pay, and other retailers. Basically, brown bread at the Woolworths is 19 rands and white bread is 20 rands. We did also engage with them to say, but how do you get this type of prices and where do you take your bread? And they indicated that they are using their own Woolworths manufacturer, which actually motivates further the point why we need to have our own bakeries and move away from buying external. Because when we do that, guaranteed our costs will be lower because we will be producing for a specific number of offenders at a specific location with costs that are ring-fenced as compared to producing and distributing to a wider network. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Members. Thank you, Minister and Deputy Minister.
Thank you, NC, for the response. CFO?
Thanks, Chair. I'm just going to be quick and just to touch on the two aspects questions that were asked. The issue related to the steps taken to fund the bakeries. I had a prioritization meeting with the team. And one of the important aspects in terms of the concluding remarks that the NCS indicated is to be able to prioritize this particular financial year, the SSSF, also to ensure that we do the following: allocate funds to the regions so that we can be able to develop the bakeries. And as we have indicated in this particular presentation, that exercise will assist the department in terms of stopping dependency external. Also, what the National Commissioner has already issued as an instruction to be able to say, once we did that particular process, it must be aligned with the policy so that if regions do not have a capacity or do not have actual bread to be able to produce internal, they must get permission from head office to be able to procure bread external. Because of that, we're not going to be able to assist to be able to have bread internally to be produced, and externally then we invest money, and then externally then we still procure bread external. So that is the process that currently underway. The second aspect that was raised, it was the issue to be able to indicate in terms of if ever during the investigation process there was any recoveries that were made. At this particular point in time, there were no recoveries that has been made, mainly in terms of the following: that the investigation process of irregular or fruitless and wasteful expenditure, it will make a determination to look in terms of, does the state had a financial loss? If there was any financial loss, that's where the issue of the recovery will come into place. But if there's no financial loss, then there's a process that has been transgressed. While it put actually the department to irregular expenditure, then there'll be consequence management where the people that have been taken actually into task to be able to be disciplined in terms of that. But because of the process, we're still dealing with 788 million, then that will make a determination with the transactions that are still outstanding. And then lastly, the issue to indicate in terms of which contracts are coming to an end, we'll just have to share the detailed listing. But in my presentation, you look into the transactions, which is the slide that talks to the spike and the nice spike in terms of the figures, where you find out from the transactions are decreasing, meaning that from this particular majority of the contracts, specifically that we were using for fruitless and wasteful expenditure and even actual the securing of the contracts, coming to an end in July and August. So, but the detail in terms of the others, we will have to be able to share that particular detailed list of those particular transactions. But those, as I've indicated, those 4 firms, once they're out of the system between July and August, so our cost drivers will drastically drop in terms of the consultants, and then it will be the other ones that I've indicated in my presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, CFO, for the response. Mrs. Molepo?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thank you to both Minister, Deputy Minister, and the National Commissioner. Mine is also on 2 questions from Honorable Moyela. I'm just going to add on what the National Commissioner has already indicated in terms of the human resources, that is the creation of posts for bakeries. Yes, we do have the HR strategy in place, that is the resource strategy for self-sufficiency and sustainability. So for the 11 existing bakeries, we need 44 posts to be created. The 44 posts is that we need 1 in each correctional center. We need 1 supervisor and also 3 production workers. And in addition to that, that will be the number of offenders. So on average, in each correctional center, we'll be looking at an average of 12 offenders. But then with regard to offenders, we are also governed by the OSH Act, which will also be determined by the space. So if the bakery is small, then we'll not be able to accommodate 12 offenders. So that is with regard to the creation of posts. To say in each center, we need 4 officials, 1 supervisor, and 3 production officials. Then the other question is from Honorable Tute with regards to the slide on national bakery performance and cost savings for 2024-25 financial year, where we indicated that we purchased 270,000 bread externally, and for 25-26 we have purchased 48,000. So I just need to mention that for 25-26, the 48,000 is just for 2 months already, so it's not for the year. That is for April and May. And the main contributor for that is the 48,000 is Bavianspoort, whereby for the 2 months we have been procuring bread externally, as we have indicated that Bavianspoort is under renovations. So with regards to the 270,000 for 2024-25 financial year, the biggest contributor is also Bavianspoort, because their last bake was in July 2024, and in August then they started with the renovations. So for 8 months, that is from August up until the end of the financial year, from August until March 2025, that is 8 months, Bavianspoort has been procuring baked bread externally. So that is the biggest contributor. But we also have other centers that procured externally. For example, we had St. Albans, which also procured externally, and also Boxback, which procured. The reason for procuring was mainly because of breakage of equipment. So that would be the 2 questions from my side, just to add on what Commissioner has already indicated. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and National Commissioner and Minister and Deputy Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Molepo. Mrs. Molaba. I spelled the same name right, ne? National Commissioner?
Yes.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, there's nothing to say from my side, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, noted. So all questions have been responded to that members would have asked? Let me get from members. Members, were all your questions or clarities that you seeked from the department all answered?
My hand is up, Chair.
Is it a follow-up or is it a question
I think, Chair, it would be there's some was not cleared, and probably because of the response, I will add something on it. So I'm not sure whether must it be categorized as clarifying my question. Maybe I was misunderstood, and or as a new question, as a follow-up, Chair. I don't know.
Okay, members, were all questions answered? There is no hand, so it means you can proceed, Honorable Sokopa.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Chair, I think I must start on this issue of, I think it was raised by the Deputy Minister, of reminding us that the department is a national department. And I think the NC also added on that. I think a response to such shows level of arrogance, in my view, Chair. While we are attending to issues that in their presentation, they also pick up as a challenge, like the minister has raised. It therefore can't be correct when you talk. We're not talking about what I have in front of me, my Bulen. It's a scarce thing. It needs a technical, or it needs somebody to develop it. Where you say that if you don't find, correctly, like the Deputy Minister was saying, that if you don't find it in Mpumalanga, nothing stops you to get it in Tabech. But you can't say that about bread. You can't say that about fish. You can't say that about potatoes. I mean, so this thing that it's a national department, and therefore it's arrogance of reiterating that there's nothing wrong, even though, because part of our oversight, Chair, we were with you, where they say that we had to change the ration because of logistical challenges, because things have not, the food that was supposed to come and that was supposed to be served on that particular day, what they were not able to serve it. Therefore, they had to use another protein in substituting the protein, because exactly of the issue of logistics. Because somebody who sits 1,000 kilometers away must decide how he is going to supply somebody at the other end. And that's what I'm raising. Two, in the submission of the National Commissioner, I'm getting an impression that he's giving us and them. When I say he gives an us and them, I mean that he says when us is them at national office, and them are those that are at region or at area management level. Where I thought, as they continuously say that this is a national department, that if something happens in George, it's something that's supposed to affect him. And so if there's wrongdoing, as he says, that they are following it up, they need to address the issue. But here we are sitting with a situation. The matter has been centralized. In you centralizing the matter, there is an escalation on the cost. And how is that now helping the department? You have taken it away from those that have created findings and what, but the matter has now escalated. There's a budget has to be, you are spending more on the very same things. I hear you, and I want to make this suggestion, Chair, because I saw on the slides that they are currently dealing with it. Can we have this debate again in September? Because they are saying that they are using July to attend to those issues. Can we have this debate in September where they are going to tell us that these are the corrective measures and this is where they are on the issue? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sokopa. Minister, DM, National Commissioner, to respond or clarify Honorable Sokopo's questions.
I think, Honourable Chair, if I may, I have no problem if we can have the debate again, that we have the facts on the table. So that's from my side.
Thank you. Dear.
No, thank you very much, Chair. And let's clarify that what I've raised when I responded in terms of the policies and the legislation that governs us, those are your national policies. It doesn't show a sheer arrogance like Honorable Sokopo is indicating, Chair. We're just saying there's things that people from locally, and that's what I said. I said those that must benefit locally, it should. But if you can't find it, you must go out. I was trying to deal with these issues. I'm not talking about proof and I'm not talking about bread, because I was talking even about the use of consultant, because that service you procure, it's a service that you would want outsiders to provide to the department. Hence, I said our scope there, it widens because we are a national department. It's not sheer arrogance, but also issue of local and benefiting. But I was emphasizing to say, if you can't find, you can go out. We must not regionalize, because in some instances, you'll have a contractor appointed and people will be picketing and say, you are not going to work here because this is our area. And all those people that are doing business, they are also governed by the very same pieces of legislation that we govern with. They are complying with all the pieces of legislation and the specifications that the department has issued out. I think I agree with the minister that maybe that debate, as it comes back again, we should engage politely, so engage on the matter, clarify issues, clarify all the matters that we think they are not right. And where we said we found the report indicated, an AG's report indicated that there was foul play, there was non-compliance, people were charged. And I support what the minister and the NC has said, to say where there's wrongdoing and there's recommendations to say preferred charges against those, that criminal case should be opened. It is correct, so that we deal with these things of people ballooning price and getting one service provider doing every job that comes from DCS. It does not give a lot of people benefiting on that. I think I would support that debate. Let it come. It is unfortunate that today we're going to present a budget and we're having this portfolio, because these things of dealing with this thing of empowering our own citizens within the Republic, it's everybody's business. Hence, we must also work within the pieces of legislation and not flout any piece of legislation. I think I will clarify myself, but it's not arrogance, but we remain a national department, because you can find a bread of 10 rand or of 17 rand in Mpumalanga, but when you go to another province, it's 20 rand, it's 15 rand. But we must make sure that we price in terms of where we are. There are those overheads, the costs that would not reflect, but I think it's a matter that we must deal with this and bring everything, what it means. Where we're ripped off as a department, really those matters should be attended to, and a consequence management thereof. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DM. NC?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and again, honorable members. There is a question that was asked by Honorable Daniels on greenfields contracts. As a department, we don't have greenfields contracts. All the contracts that have been awarded, to my knowledge, have got a start date and an end date. And as I did earlier on, explain that the risks that we were running with quotations was that that process always gave us the same suppliers, and to us, it pointed to things not being done appropriately. There is no us and them in the department, Honorable Chairperson. Any processes that is undertaken at any level of the Department of Correctional Services by any of the officials, the ultimate accounting officer is the National Commissioner. In terms of the PFMA, in terms of the Constitution, and any other related legislation. But where we identify wrongdoing, as the Minister and the Deputy Minister have indicated, we have to locate it so that we are able to address it where it occurs. And that's the point that I was making. So for us to look at procurement and say, how do we centralize it, for us to be able to minimize these occasions of irregularities, but at the same time benefit from economies of scale, it is an approach that starts to say, let the department be uniform in terms of how it conducts its business. We did appear before the portfolio committee, for instance, on the issue of the purchase of security equipment, where in a particular management area, in a particular region, you would buy something, for instance, the metal detectors, handheld detectors, for a particular price, but in another management area, you will buy it for an even higher price. And that's why we said, at least because this is one budget, let's ensure that we apply it in an economic, efficient, and effective manner. And that's why we moved on to the issue of centralizing. It is for the first time that we do this type of a contract. It is in existence from April, and already we have identified, also it is reported that there are issues in terms of the price, and we are correcting that. Honorable Chairperson, I have not and will not engage with the portfolio committee or any other person on the basis of arrogance. I apologize if I came out that way. It has always not been my intention to engage on the basis of an attitude. I have tried by all means to engage on the basis of information that I need to provide, responses that I need to provide in a respectful, polite manner, as the Deputy Minister has indicated, and with the transparency that is required. On the issue of the change of diet, yes, we were looking at alternatives that would not only save the department money, but would guarantee that that we comply with nutrition requirements. Hence, on the issue of establishing bakeries at each and every correctional facility as we go, we are resolute on that, because it will save us costs. At the same time, it will ensure that we comply with regards to what the nutritionists would have prescribed to us, but at the same time, we comply with all other legislation. And we are at least guaranteed that the product that we produce, that we see ourselves with our own eyes, that we test ourselves, is a product that will then be consumed by the offenders. The same offenders would have actually contributed to producing the same product. That's basically the essence of us implementing the self-sufficiency and sustainability program as the department. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you so much, NC, DM, and the Minister on the responses provided. Colleagues, we will need to leave for those who would be catching a bus to Parliament to be able to do so now at 25 past or 12:30, for us to get ready for the budget vote debate at 2:00. Let me first touch on what the Minister would have spoken to on not having a problem being called again by the portfolio committee to the meeting, and appreciate and welcome that the department is in the process to review prices as it has indicated. And we hope that review process of prices in the cycle of 6 months would be able to put the department either to advise service providers to adhere to a market-related prices or still to keep the similar prices. But we would appreciate the feedback after the reviewing process, what becomes the finding in this process. We also welcome the intervention that the minister would have spoke to on the cost of bread. And we do hope that those interventions, Minister, would yield results. And when called upon by the Portfolio Committee, you would be able to take us through those interventions. We would also be monitoring the action plans that you would have alluded to and the time frames associated with establishments of bakeries. It might not be, I want to find a correct wording, but it might not be, you might not be in a space to be able to establish bakeries across either management areas or correctional facilities at the pace that you want, but we do encourage that a similar approach perhaps that you used on the Community Correction National Commissioner, you equally go that route with establishing bakeries. And you should, as the department as well, ensure that the production in bakeries is not interrupted by either load reduction or either by load shedding. So you should make sure that there are generators, especially in those facilities that we do have bakeries functional or there is production of bread. And you should ensure as the department that which is one of the key components that the AG flagged in your report, being fully reliant on consultant. We should ensure that as the department, you do not become heavily reliant on consultant, especially, and I want to echo the similar sentiments as raised by Honorable Mwali. If you become reliant on consultant, then that means there's no skills transfer or there is no development in terms of officials. So you should not be reliant on consultants, and we should make sure that where there are technical consultants that are coming into place, the departments to make sure that there is transfer of skills to officials. And we must make sure that where we are procuring consultants, whilst we have officials that are designated or employed to deal with those aspects, are we not rendering them useless or unuseful? So we should make sure that we don't become heavily reliant on consultant. We can't be spending money on consultancy whilst we have officials that are supposed to be dealing with what the consultant would be coming to do. Yes, there would be those technical aspects then there that you would need to procure consultancy in terms of work, but it can be a full outright consultancy. In everything that we do, it should equally bring in consultancy in those areas. So those are the recommendations we're putting to yourself, and we hope the reviewing process, when it is concluded, and the intervention that the minister would have done, once we get an indication, we would therefore make a determination as the Portfolio Committee to schedule you again for a meeting to now get an updated report on the review process of prices subsequent to the intervention that the minister would have brought on issues of mitigating the cost prices on the bread matters. So members, those who are debating in the House, wish you the best of luck in the debates. today. Minister and the Deputy Minister, yourselves as well, wish you the best of luck on the debate, on the budget vote debate. I am not sure whether we would be able to meet next week. On Tuesday, we are waiting for the House chairperson. There is a memo that went out that indicates that on the times where budget votes are expected of other departments are sitting or scheduled to debate, there must not be a portfolio committee that is sitting unless a portfolio committee is sitting to deal with legislation or urgent approval of reports. And since ours was approved last week, and it's appearing before the House today, hence we're debating, we would seek an approval from the House chairperson to proceed with sitting our portfolio committee on Tuesday as usual. If not, we will then have to get an alternative day when we would sit our portfolio committee, and the committee secretary will advise both the department, the executive, and the portfolio committee members through the channels that he uses to communicate on when is the portfolio committee going to sit next week, where and time. So if it's a virtual platform, it's a normal standard, it's 9:30. If it's a physical sitting, it's 10 o'clock. So we would, here in this process, would be guided by the House chairperson. And once we have gotten that go ahead, we will then communicate. So I thought I relay this so that if members and the department, you do not get any memo that indicates that we're meeting next week, you would know what are those reasons. So, Minister, any parting words before I close the meeting?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. No, let's work together. As you said, we identify the problems from the start, and I do welcome that we can have a robust debate on the matters. We must not become personal. It is a matter, and I must say that I approve and I am in favor of the more centralizing of contracts and the, can I say, approval thereof, because the lower you go, the more possibilities are there for corruption. And we are there to ensure that there's no corruption. In the end, there's only one core center matter. And my question is always, I ask myself, what is in the best interest of the taxpayers of South Africa and the Department of Correctional Services? Thank you very much, Honourable Chair and honourable members and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. DM.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee. My appreciation is that we'll forever be accountable to the Portfolio Committee and will always come and give responses where it's needed, and we shall remain so, and we'll do it respectfully so and robustly. So thank you very much for the opportunity, honourable members and Chair and Minister.
Thank you, Diam. Thank you so much for members for staying through. I see Honorable Niehaus already has exited the executive led by the Minister and Diam, National Commissioner, with the team that you're leading of the department. Thank you for coming through and taking members through the 3 reports that you would have presented and further engaging in clarifying matters that members would have raised or seek clarity on. Members, again, those who are debating, best of luck in the House, including the Minister and the Deputy Minister. The meeting therefore stands adjourned, and thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.